welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm April Knight, and you're watching News 2. Topping our stories tonight, in his first State of the Territory address, Governor Albert Ryan Jr. did not mince words. According to the governor, the territory is distressed that federal recovery funds mask the economy's weakness, while also calling for a war on poverty. News 2's James Gardner was there and has this report.
As I begin now my fourth week in office, I must report that the state of our territory is distressed.
In his first State of the Territory address, Governor Albert Ryan Jr. didn't hold back details on the government, but he was specific in his plans for building new structures, task force, and digital platforms that would bring about the change he and Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach campaigned on. Most importantly, Brian confronted what he said were systematic causes to several community issues. Dealing with crime means tackling poverty, fixing the economy means rebuilding industries that will push the Virgin Islands ahead, and enacting education reform means parenting with multiple agencies including the University of the Virgin Islands and the VI Department of Labor, agencies that can work together to build a system that can take children from preschool through their first years in the workforce.
Our strategy is to utilize the Department of Education in tandem with the Department of Labor, the University of the Virgin Islands, and our Career and Technical Board to focus on the intersectionality and make those our priorities in creating our workforce pipeline. The key to this success, however, is continuing our focus on childhood education. The expansion of the education system to include K-4, which has been mandated by law, is far overdue. That is the foundation of this pipeline. It is our goal to expand this program into as many schools as it takes to ensure access to every 4-year-old in this territory.
Brian also spoke about creating a new digital module for monitoring and identifying federal grants. Throughout the ongoing storm recovery process, the territory has had access to billions in federal funds, but hasn't been able to use it all by the deadline. Brian said the electronic system would identify grants that are underperforming, and staff will be added to the Government Federal Grants Division to develop and issue a uniform grant management policy across the departments and agencies. In addressing crime, the governor said the violence in the territory when compared to other jurisdictions per capita is embarrassing. Though he agreed that the violence should decrease, he also believes crime in our territory is driven by pervasive poverty. Poverty is caused by a lack of economic opportunity, and the lack of economic opportunity is spoiled by a failing education system.
We can no longer afford to ignore these systemic underpinnings which lead our people to resort to violent crime as a means of conflict resolution or to criminal activity for financial gain. We must, once and for all, address the root of the problem, and doing so will require the coordinated effort of all our justice and public safety, education, and our recreational resources. The Department of Justice and the Virgin Islands Police Department will work together to investigate and prosecute crimes from the beginning to the end to avoid holes in our prosecution and escape of those guilty of crimes from escaping justice due to technicalities.
Brian ended with a call to the next generation to step up and be the leaders of the future.
One Virgin Islands, collectively moving forward to a brighter future for all of us. It is up to this new generation of leaders to work collectively, to move beyond petty politics, to solve these long-standing issues, so that future generations of Virgin Islanders can enjoy the quality of life that is consistent with the beauty and the splendor of these Virgin Islands we call home. We owe it to our children. We owe it to our grandchildren. We owe it to their future generations. And we certainly owe it to our parents.
For News 2, this is James Gardner.
We also got some reactions from other government leaders who attended the State of the Territory. Delegate to Congress Stacey Plaskett was there, as some lawmakers, both veterans and newbies, and they all had interesting thoughts on the governor's address. Some of them were happy about it, some wanted to hear more numbers, while others didn't hear some of the issues that they wanted the governor to address. Here's more.
I think the real concern that I have in Washington is also what he stated was our inability to borrow anymore, that our ability to be able to match the funds, the tremendous amount of funds that we've been able to procure from the federal government are actually able to be drawn down. So one of the things that he talked about that I'm really excited about is a grant management program, and I'm hoping that's going to be so robust and really real time that we're able to ensure that the money is utilized properly.
I am happy to hear about his theme, which includes agriculture, and most people may know that's my pet. Agriculture can be an economic cornerstone, and the fact that he included that in the business model says that he's taking food sustainability very seriously. Another takeaway was the fact that he is very innovative in his thinking as it pertains to changing the trajectory of our youth as far as the penal system, that he wants to use vocational education and educating the children from even younger to divert crime.
I actually have legislation associated with the K-4 program that we should fund it. We must fund the K-4. We cannot continue to talk about funding it. We have to fund the K-4 program because, you know, that program identifies the issues that our students are having early. If they're having cognitive issues, it identifies them early, and it basically sets them up for success.
Human services, for sure. Human services, the homeless issue that we have, the issue with mental health. I thought that he would have touched mental health because it is a tremendous issue in the Virgin Islands. It seems to just be growing. I know that we did quite a bit in the 33rd legislature. We were able to allocate some land. We gave $3 million in funding to begin to build a site where we can house a certain portion of the mental health population. And I thought that he would have defined his initiatives in reference to that population a bit more.
My biggest takeaway, there were many takeaways, but to me the biggest takeaway honestly was that they were not mentioned about housing and emergency housing and moderate housing, and we all know what's going on in terms of housing in the territory with the many shortfalls of many families that we have nowhere to go, no place to lay their head, peace of mind. So I would have liked to hear a little bit more about that, but nonetheless, I believe it was a pretty measured State of Territory address, and it sets a new tone in my opinion.
Coming up next, Virgin Islanders making waves at the Clinton Global Initiative Conference in Puerto Rico, plus a St. Croix mother pleading for more low-cost dental options in the territory when we come back. Welcome back. My Brother's Workshop, the local nonprofit that helps at-risk and high-risk youth, is making waves in Puerto Rico. The Clinton Foundation convened the third meeting of the Clinton Global Initiative Action Network on post-disaster recovery. They discussed initiatives aimed at developing strategies after the 2017 hurricanes. And Adaja Benjamin, an MBW trainee, was one of their panelists. Adaja was featured in the NEWS2 Hurricane Irma special, VI Strong Unsung Heroes. She came to My Brother's Workshop day in and day out after the storms and helped cook more than 37,000 meals for thousands of people. Here's more.
I'm nervous on the stage presenting next to Secretary Clinton. Like, I never see myself being next to someone so high in social class. So I was very nervous, and I enjoyed the experience of talking next to her. I even got a picture with her in the back. You know what I mean? My favorite part about the conference was the questions were very easy. The questions were about myself, so I don't think nobody knows me better than I know myself. So it was very easy to answer the questions.
How is the recovery now in St. Thomas?
Well, I would say it's 100% to me, but different people might say it's different. I like the way it is. We have internet, we have TV. School is going good. We're not doing split session anymore. We have the full sessions of school. So I would say that we're good. Yeah.
Well, you helped it make it that way, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
NBW is so excited to be a part of this conference. We were very excited to be invited and to have one of our trainees come and speak about the opportunities or the lack of opportunities in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And she did such an amazing job filling in the entire audience of what we're facing in the territory, and then, propelling how we're going to move forward and how we're going to address those needs. U.S. Virgin Islands, we know that we are a strong community and we're bringing back resiliency, and I think it's important to come to this conference and see what other people are doing and things that we can take away from it and do better in our community.
I'm really proud to be part of a team that we have our young person, a trainee from My Brother's Workshop, representing NBW and the Virgin Islands at the CGI conference, the Clinton Foundation. We're excited to be here. We're happy to be part of a conversation that needs to be heard. I want them to take away that, we are a resilient community. We always try to work together, and, we need to create more opportunities for our youth so they have a platform to speak from, and so we can develop our community even much more.
Governor Albert Bryan is also in Puerto Rico for that conference. We'll hear from him in a later newscast. Well, Governor Bryan recently vetoed a legislation that would have allowed the practice of dental therapy in the Virgin Islands. According to the governor, the bill would give dental therapists ability to perform dental procedures with potentially life-threatening consequences and have the ability to perform irreversible surgical procedures. But bill sponsor Nellie O'Reilly said the bill was meant to bridge the lack of dental care in the territory, especially for those on the Medical Assistance Program or MAP. Many Virgin Islanders on MAP, according to one source, wait for months, sometimes years, languishing on a list of 1,000 people just to see a dentist. We spoke with former Senator O'Reilly as well as Elizabeth Hodge, a mother on St. Croix whose son is an MAP recipient and who went through that exact situation. Here's more.
The process of being an MAP and trying to get a dental appointment is it's hard. It's very hard because they had a list at the time of the town hall meeting. I think that was 2 years ago. We had a list of 1,000 persons waiting to be seen by a dentist, and at that time my son was 15 and his teeth, we were having some problems with his teeth, and I thought it would have just been simple to make an appointment, and I couldn't get an appointment, and at that time he hadn't seen a dentist in all his life, and it was really hard, and every time you call the list wouldn't move, and you can't even make an appointment because they couldn't add anyone else to the list because it was 1,000 people waiting to see a dentist. So I tried to just get him an appointment just for oral dental health, because oral dental health is very important. And I also had a 5-year-old, and she never seen a dentist, and she had some stuff on her teeth that I needed to find out what was going on. I am in favor of dental therapists seeing any of my children once they're competent and know what they're doing, because I have seen physician assistants numerous times. I'm under the care of one right now, and if you're competent and you know what you're doing, I don't have a problem with it. Well, I will say to the governor that he should try and revisit it if possible. Right now we had a husband and wife dental team at the Princess North Shore Clinic that has left, so that's taken away a lot from the residents in St. Croix who was on MAP, and if that's something viable for the people, I think they should make a concerted effort to look into it.
There could be an override, assuming that the senators that are now members of the 33rd consider this issue to be pressing. Then they can override the governor's veto. And if not, then they need to find a solution. This bill came as a result of what we identified as a significant need. and is one of thousands of people. I can't stress enough that more than 25,000 people on the island of St. Croix alone have no access to dental care. The scope of work that dental therapists are allowed to do is clearly delineated in the bill, and it is only procedures that they are trained to do, and they are limited to just fillings and low-level and mid-level procedures, so that dentists can focus on the higher level, more intensive and extensive work. April, all this boils down to is dentists who are afraid of change, dentists who are more interested in protecting their financial well-being than the well-being of patients.
The dental therapy bill at some point will go to the new legislature. They'll need 10 votes to override the governor's veto. If that happens, the bill becomes law. We'll keep you updated. Well, the national president of the American Federation of Teachers is in the territory. AFT President Randi Weingarten began her tour of the territory's public schools on Wednesday, giving away school supplies in St. Croix and St. Thomas. According to AFT National, the delivery of the school supplies comes as the territory recovers from the devastation of Hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017. Weingarten will also meet with educators and students on St. Thomas to learn more about the programs and curriculums offered by the schools. We'll have more on that in a later newscast. Well, it's time to get your wag on. The annual Crew to Croix Dog Parade will be barking along the Christiansted Boardwalk on Saturday, February 2nd. That's beginning with a registration at 1 p.m. at Angry Nate's. Our four-legged friends and human owners will parade on the Christiansted Boardwalk with tails wagging on their way to 40 Strand Street for the awards ceremony at 3 p.m. This year's theme is Dr. Seuss, so expect to see variations of the Cat in the Hat, the Grinch, and maybe even some green eggs and ham. The St. Croix Animal Welfare Center will also be there with information and dogs that are ready for adoption. Proceeds from the parade will go to the St. Croix Animal Welfare Center as well. Get creative with your dogs, make a costume, and enjoy a great parade with your canine friends and neighbors. Stick around, we have more for you coming up next.
Good evening. We're looking at the chance for some scattered and isolated showers throughout the next several days. As we take you into your current satellite, we are noticing there's clouds moving on towards the Virgin Islands and towards the leewards as well. And that's going to be the activity that we'll see tonight. Some shower activity and clouds. A closer look for you there. Once again, moisture pressing its way and from the east into, once again, a westward direction. We'll stay under this easterly flow for the coming days. Patchy clouds here tonight and the chance for showers with a low of 73. As we head into tomorrow, showers will be in spots, partial sunshine topping off at 84 in St. John. You continue into St. Thomas with a high of 84, also looking at spotty conditions. Not going to be a washout situation here in St. Croix, just showers on and off throughout the day, something that we're very used to. For the most part, dry conditions will remain in place, but what we will see or need to be aware of is a chance for some higher surf here for tomorrow's marine forecast. 3 to 5 feet, winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. As of now, there's no cautions issued, but we have to do keep an eye on that on the Atlantic side. Also some higher waves for tomorrow's forecast on the Caribbean side, 4 to 6 feet with your waves, winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. Now our winds should remain 10 to 15 for the next several days in that range. Waves will be coming on down, but for tomorrow a bit elevated, and that's where we could see some issues, some rough surf. If you plan to be boating or beaching, be sure to stay aware of our conditions. Now for your Friday, well, Thursday and Friday, we're still keeping those showers in spots, partly sunny skies, spotty into the weekend as well. So if you plan to head to the beach or have any outdoor plans, you will be looking at a fairly decent forecast with temperatures in the mid 80s for your highs.
Thank you for that. Stick around. Alexander Randall returns with Randall's news and comments when we come back.
watching News 2. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. Governor Bryan delivered his State of the Territory address, and to summarize it in just one word, distress. But that's actually an improvement. Think about the last governor's first inaugural address 4 years ago. He said we were in crisis and broke. Well, at least some things have not changed. Maybe we just have better words for our situation, but I'll take distress over crisis any day. We're moving in the right direction. The governor had a lot of ideas about early childhood education, unifying the hospitals under one board, attending to the marine industry, and a new focus on agriculture. One senator referred to the governor's address as, we quote, gloomy but optimistic. Part of the gloomy is how much we've borrowed and how much we owe the federal government and how much we can't borrow in the bond market. Right now, our government's on a pay-as-you-go basis, just like normal people, paycheck to paycheck. We got one new cabinet member, as the governor announced the new Commissioner of Education will be Raquel Berry. The governor wants more preschool education, more career and technical training, more apprenticeships to prepare our young people for real work. The governor mentioned that President Trump wants to take our recovery funds and use it to build his Mexican wall. Please remember, the president said the Mexicans were going to pay for that when he was a candidate. Now maybe we are going to end up paying for the wall. You can be sure the delegate to Congress and the governor will fight to keep our recovery funds. In his State of the Territory address, the governor says he wants the Water and Power Authority to get with new technology. Underground the lines, add microgrids, solar power, wind power, get it all on the grid. He also wants the Waste Management Authority to get some real money so they can do their work. So expect a tipping fee. Expect the Attorney General, who's now appointed, to be, well, maybe elected, but maybe a 6-year term, and get some of the politics out of the Attorney General's office. The governor says during the first few months there'll be feverish work with paving companies and contracts to fix roads, put up new traffic lights and signs. The governor says he wants a lot of signs. He wants people to be able to find streets by their names. Other projects: dredge Gallows Bay, update the St. Thomas waterfront, build the Paulie Joseph Stadium, get Frenchman's Reef and Kinneal Bay back in operation, and get going on the marine industry. We own this ocean. We barely use it. The governor says he wants to embrace technology. He wants all government agencies to move into the digital era, electronic management, real-time contracts. He says it's time to digitize our government. The governor says he wants to put some steam in the economy. In this case, steam means service, technology, energy, agriculture, and manufacturing. Steam. In just a second, though, he was talking about digital. The governor also dribbled out some names of his top staff. He's nominated former Senator Positive Nelson to be Commissioner of Agriculture. This is fitting. Nelson's always been a champion of growing cannabis and hemp in the Virgin Islands, and with newly legalized medical marijuana, we can expect a major proponent in Positive Nelson. Our farmers already know how to grow it. There's plenty of land that could be repurposed from low-dollar vegetables to high-dollar cannabis, so the potential for a boom is in the offing, and that would be positive. One can envision the tax revenues that would arise from selling pot to tourists, and if all that money went to the GERS, they'd have a surplus. I have no idea why Governor Mapp wanted to hide this list, but Governor Bryan released the list of government house treasures. Now we have a list of all the art treasures owned by the government. Some are in storage, some are in St. Thomas Government House, some are in Government House St. Croix. At least now we know what's on the list. And some of it is treasures. Some of it looks a lot like stuff you find in garage sales. Rocking chairs, card tables, chairs and tables, side table chandeliers. How about a print of former President Woodrow Wilson or a portrait of King Christian X? How about a hat and coat stand valued at $200? Why was the list a secret? I have no idea. But if things get tight enough, the government can always hold a big garage sale. Alex Randall, News and Comment.
Thank you for that. Always interesting. Alexander Randall, everyone. Now, for federal employees still waiting on their back pay, our parent company, VIA, may be able to help through abated late fees and delayed payments. Just go to www.via.vi/GOVassist. And that's it for our show tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at News2VI, Instagram at TV2USVI. We want to hear from you, so tag us on any stories you want to see on the news. Send us a message on Messenger or email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2. I'm April Knight. We'll see you next time.